Hi, welcome back. Have you done the extra exercises from part 1? If you have, fantastic. If not, please do them before you begin this video. And remember, if you have any questions, any doubts or any comments, don't forget you can ask me below each video or come over to the Facebook group and join us there. I'm sure you remember that there are 7 parts to the reading and use of English paper. And do you remember how much time you have to do the reading and use of English? It's 1 hour and 15 minutes. In this video, we move to part 2, the open close. Now, why is it called the open close? Because there's no choice. It's open. There are no multiple choice answers to choose from. Please make sure you have your notebook and pen ready, or open a text file on your computer or device so that you can make notes of any new vocabulary as we work through this lesson. So part 2 is a text with 8 gaps, and it looks like this. This particular text is about one of my favorite parts of Spain, the Alpujarra in Andalusia. Now, what's the first thing you do? Read it quickly first. You need to know the context of the text before you start choosing words. And yeah, sometimes the text can be a bit boring. Try to get interested in the text. It will help you to do the exercise. I want you to pause the video and read the text, and don't worry about the gaps in the text. Just ignore them. Don't think about them yet. Okay? So pause the video and read. Great. Now go back to the beginning of the text. It looks a bit like part 1, doesn't it? But there are no choices. That's one difference between part 1 and part 2. Another difference between part 1 and part 2 is that part 1 focuses on words with meaning, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, nouns, and part 2 focuses more on grammar words, words with function rather than meaning. These are the kinds of words that you need to think about when you do part 2. Prepositions like up, on, in, around, under, about, etc. Articles, the, a, and an. Pronouns like which, what, that, whose, these, it, etc. Modal verbs like can, might, could, must, should, and auxiliary verbs does, have, had, am, are, has, etc. And also conjunctions like but, before, although, either. And also they sometimes test some fixed expressions like in favour of. So perhaps of is missing, or maybe in is missing from that expression. Another example, due to, or due to the fact that, or in spite of, or in order that, or as soon as. So they might take one of those prepositions away. The answer will always be a single word, just one word, never a contraction. And always read to the end of the sentence before you choose a word and fill the gap. So let's practice this and answer some questions together. Let's go back to the text on the Alpujarra and read it with me. The Alpujarra. One of the most beautiful areas of Spain is the Alpujarra. It is a region situated in the south of Spain and consists mountains, pretty villages and breathtaking scenery. Above the Alpujarra are the Sierra Nevada mountains. Of the highest is Mulhacén at 3,479 meters. Every year, many people all over the world visit the Alpujarra. Some go to walk in the beautiful countryside, while others ski in the Sierra Nevada mountains or just drive through the hills and enjoy scenery. Sadly, in recent years, the area become a victim of own popularity. Many people visit the Alpujarra each year that they are in danger of destroying the peace and tranquility which many visitors looking for in this beautiful region of Spain. Okay, when you've read all the text, go back to the first gap, which is number 9. Now before the gap, there's a verb, to consist. Is this verb often followed by a preposition? Yes, it is. It consists of. The Alpujarra consists of mountains, pretty villages and breathtaking scenery. In the exam, if you think the missing word is a preposition, but you can't remember which preposition, guess. Never leave a gap. Always answer every question. Moving on to question 10, it says, above the Alpujarra are the Sierra Nevada mountains. Of the highest is Mulhacén at 3,479 meters. We need a pronoun here because it's referring back to the thing just mentioned, the Sierra Nevada mountains. Above the Alpujarra are the Sierra Nevada mountains, of which the highest mountain is Mulhacén at 3,479 meters. Okay, now you continue and finish the exercise. Write one word for each of the gaps, 11 to 16. Remember to think about the possible missing words that are often tested in part 2, such as prepositions, articles, pronouns, modal verbs, auxiliary verbs, conjunctions, or fixed expressions like due to or in spite of. And make sure you read until the end of the sentence and look carefully before and after each gap. If you don't know, guess a word, you might be right. Now pause the video and write your answers. If you like, you can also open and print the PDF of this exercise in the support material of this lesson. Pause the video now. Okay, so let's check your answers. Number 11, from. So people from all over the world visit the Alpujarra. When you choose a word, say it in your head or very quietly to yourself when you take the exam. Does it sound right? Does it seem to be correct? If it sounds okay to you, it probably is. So say the word, the sentence internally and ask yourself if it sounds right. Number 12, you can choose the or some. Both of those words will fit. Both are correct. We can say enjoy the scenery or enjoy some scenery. So well done if you got either of those words. Number 13, has become, present perfect. In recent years, the area has become, from the past until now. So an auxiliary verb. Number 14, its. Thing belonging to it. The area has become a victim of the area's own popularity, or its own popularity. That's a pronoun replacing the word. Number 15, so many people. Number 16, are, an auxiliary verb, the present continuous tense. So that's part 2 of the use of English paper. Again, remember, part 1 we're focusing on vocabulary, and in part 2 we're focusing mainly on grammar words. To recap then, remember, read the text first to get an idea of the context. Think about grammar words, prepositions, articles, pronouns, modal verbs, auxiliary verbs, conjunctions, fixed expressions, phrasal verbs. Only one word will be missing from each gap, and it will never be a contraction. And sometimes it can help to translate a sentence into your language to see if it makes sense, or maybe you can find the missing word if you translate. But be careful, because some words like prepositions do not translate well sometimes. So only use translation if you're stuck. Always look before and after the gap. Think about prepositions that go with verbs, for example, collocation, any possible grammar connections like gerunds and infinitives, for example. Now let's see what you remember. Take the quiz for this lesson and check your answers when you've finished. Then do the exam practice activity in the PDF document. It's about the actor Keanu Reeves. What do you know about him? What would you like to know about him? Try to get involved in the text. I think you'll find it easier. Don't forget to read all the text first before you start choosing your answers. You'll also see the Alpujarra text in PDF in case you want to print it and repeat the exercise to try and get 100% correct. And don't forget to make a list of any new words and expressions from this video in your notebook. In the next lesson, we'll look at part 1 of the writing paper, the compulsory task, an essay. Have you written an essay before? How many ideas should you discuss in your essay? How many words should you write? And how much time do you have to write your essay? You'll find the answers to these questions and more in the next video.